Hello everybody and welcome along for week 4. We're here at the Circuit of the Americas. We're at the home race here for Apex This Race League here in Austin, Texas. The guys are just wrapping up a little bit of practice. We're going to jump into that 10-minute qualifying in just a moment. We're doing the MX-5s again this evening, starting us off on Sunday evening. And thank you very much for joining us once again as the birds take flight. Beautiful. iRacing, way to go. I am your host, Eric Elkins, here on Backseat Broadcast. We're seeing somebody out there having a few little glitches in and out. And it looks like Troy Banks there, and you can't quite see who that is in front of him, Joseph Mayer. So we got about 7 minutes left in practice here. Here we have Adam Baltutis crossing the start-finish line there. He is currently second fastest with a 1:49.6. Let's do a quick lap with him. Coming down to turn 2 here. Taking a nice tight line. Has plenty of grip through there. Coming down through these great twists here, and I'm not exactly sure who's that Senor Garcia in front of him, really throwing the rear end of that MX-5 back and forth. It looks like Adam's able to keep it a little bit more planted. There's so many tight hairpinish turns on this track. Although it is extremely wide, it gives you lots of different lines to be able to take through there. Provides for some great racing. This is a very difficult double left-hander here. Really easy to outbrake yourself and go wide into the runoff area. Lots of off tracks to be had here at Circuit of the Americas. Coming down to finish the second to last turn here. Gets a great exit from it. And there is a lap with Adam Baltutis around this track. Taken to the inside. Trying to get that place on Andres Garcia there, just doing a little practice. Ooh, getting lots of curb as well. As we're just under 4 minutes to go in this 2-hour practice session on Sundays. They do have that long 2-hour. Help you get familiar with the track as well for the upcoming week and learn all of it. Oh, whoops. Isn't it so cool when you forget to turn your mic back on? You've been talking for 5 minutes. It feels really cool. I'll tell you guys that much. All right, so here we have Mark Bray coming out. And as I was saying just a moment ago, we are doing a different version, different layout of, not the full layout of Circuit of the Americas today. It is the shortened version, thank God. We'd be here for 40 minutes, that's all we're racing for, but it would be a long lap for these poor Miatas out there. So Andres Garcia coming around turn 2, the bottom of the hill, going through this difficult S section, taking a little wide, breeze off the gas a little bit. This is the tricky section where you take a left here instead of going straight, and we've got this little drop in the pavement there. And oh, I was about to say, it's very easy to catch drivers out if you get that weight distribution wrong coming off that, because that curb just drops you down. There's Christopher Perez coming around the carousel there. Barely holding on to that. Pushing it as hard as he can. Troy Banks is first across the line with a 150.6. Then Adam Baltutis betters that by 0.8 there. Mark Bray crossed the line with a 150.5. But Christopher Perez does not set a time. Paul Simmons Ochoa goes second fastest with a 149.9. There's Craig Ream topping the standings by 0.6 there with a 149.2. I imagine everybody's gonna get a little bit better on these runs here. There's Michael Bond, you see crossing the line for fifth fastest. Kane Kruger does a 150.5, puts him in fourth place for the time being. Joseph Mayer crosses the line, unable to set a time this lap. Here's Federico Del Toro coming through the S section, taking that hard left, losing a bit of speed into this little tiny straight before that hop down there. Oh, and gets an off track for his troubles, I think. That's unfortunate. Matthew Cesario coming around the... and there's James Bunter with a fourth place of 150.163. Here's Matthew Cesario coming around the final turn now. Let's see if he's able to get himself on the board. He's a little wide, misses the apex slightly on the last turn. Still heating these tires up, surely. He's good enough for 7th. Ooh, and Adam Baltutis does just better. Does a 149.146 to take pole position away for the moment. Here is Craig Ream rounding the final turn now. And he does do one better. He's going to go 0.2 faster than his previous time and get back to first position. It's real tight down there in the middle of this pack. You can just see the tenths between these guys here, and the hundredths between these guys here. Joseph Mayer is able to set a time. He's 12th fastest at the moment. We have 3 minutes remaining in qualifying here. Troy Banks gets himself, he's staying actually 7th on the grid. not able to beat his first lap time, I believe that was. He's got Ken Kruger just less than a tenth in front of him, but Matthew Cesario bumps him down a spot anyways. He crosses the line, but it doesn't look like he's able to do any better than that. Oh, no, there is the finish line, excuse me. But he's going to stay right there for the time being. Paul Simmons-Ochoa crosses the line, but he's not able to do any better than that. He's going to stay fourth for the time being. He's going to have time to do one more lap to get it right if he wants to move up any positions. Here's Andres Garcia rounding the final turn. And he's going to stay where he is. And that looks like, oh goodness, it looks like Aji's he's got a facelift or a Botox or something like that. It looks like he comes across the line to go 11th fastest. Well done. He's a late arrival to join us at the moment. And Craig Ream dipping down into the 148s and heads for the pit lane. Well done. Craig Tester's on the board. He goes 12th fastest with 1:53.046. And it's all a little tight. And then there is about a almost a two and a half second gap back to after 10th place there. Well, hopefully those guys will at least be able to have their own little race. And Andres Garcia using a very liberal apex. Really trying to figure out how this thing handles off-road in case he is so inclined. It's always a good idea to do. I tell you, one of the hardest things to do out there is to run an entire lap off track. It is really difficult. I'll tell you what. All right, here is our starting grid for our first week here at COTA in Austin. We got Craig Ream on pole position, followed by Adam Baltutis. Road 2 is made up of James Bunter and Paul Simmons-Ochoa. Then we have Matthew Cesario and Andres Garcia. Kent Kruger in 7th, followed by Troy Banks, Christopher Perez, and Michael Bond is in 10th. Then we have Aji Kadambi, Craig Tessiter. Next page down, we got Joseph Mayer comes in 13th, Mark Bray in 14th. We'll see if we have John Miller, Frederico Toro, Bjorn Benches, and James Dean. I think Val is actually the only one that might not grid with us this evening, but we got a nice little spread. Hopefully the software isn't going to freak out with too many drivers today. So I'm ready to do some great racing here. I love doing the Miatas. It is one of my favorite cars to broadcast, surely. We've got a good spread of, I think, 18 drivers will join us here, as we have 18th back there on the grid. And we got 20 seconds to go before we go green light racing, and we're waiting for James Bunter, who is now appearing on the grid. Who seems to be one of our newer racers. Welcome, James, unless you've been here for some of the old seasons. Glad to have you. Had some some diversity to the front of the pack, and we're ready to go finish this lap behind the safety car and go green light racing. And no Dustin Burkhalter this evening. And no Corey Mitchell this evening either. This does not count serving your pedal, dude. These are fun little cars to race and get the week started with, though. There's your starting front row of Craig Ream and Adam Baltunas. And turn one is very wide open. It has 100 different racing lines you can take through it, so it'll be interesting to see what happens and what Adam decides to do after Craig punches it. Adam Baltunas getting alongside Craig. Slowing a little bit, giving the safety car a little room. We'll have a tight inside to the final turn, but we are going to wait this week until everybody is around the turn and the green lights come on, and we will know that we can start racing, as we have James Bunter right behind your race leader of Craig Ream there. And we are off. Adam Baltunas gets a decent start. He's pulling up next to Craig Ream. James takes to the inside as Craig goes to block off Adam, and James is going to have the lead going into turn one and push Craig maybe a little bit wide, but Craig's going to have the inside of the next turn. Everybody seems to get through, and Craig retains the lead. Adam moves back one place. Andres Garcia moves up two. Finds himself in fourth position. Michael Bond also moving up 2 positions. Finds himself in 8th at the moment. John Miller, who did not grid with us, unsurprisingly, he's really great at these Miatas, but gets, as Craig Ream has an issue back there. You can just see him, and Adam Baltunas loses that temporary lead back to James Bunter. And the front of the pack is just all packed in there, as everybody's having to sort it out, and it looks like, who is that? Paul Simmons Ochoa falling down the standings as he spins out. Kent Kruger trying to get around, is that Andres Garcia in front of him? James Bunter still has the lead, followed by Adam Baltunas, who stays in second. Andres Garcia having a great race, followed by Matthew Cesario in fourth. Kent Kruger finds himself in fifth. Christopher Perez having a great race, moving up 3 to 6th position. He's got to deal with Michael Bond in front of him there, and you just see Bjorn Benches getting around Craig Ream as Joseph Mayer is blinking in and out, probably giving him some extra issues to deal with. Oh, and something has happened there. James Bunter, it seemed like he had blown his engine. Oh, so unfortunate as he heads to the pit lane, and by default, Adam Baltunas is going to take that lead over. Oh, and there's Christopher Perez getting a little punt from behind by John Miller, saying, "Giddy up there, buddy, little pony." You're trying to get by as he's trying to use Michael Bond as a pick almost. It looks like John Miller might have tagged the wall there. Here is Kent Kruger coming in hot. Oh, and he decides to go that way, which isn't the right way. And he gets spun around. Very tricky spot, as I was saying. And that's Craig Ream Going, whoa, trying to go back around the outside of Bjorn Benches. He's going to get this turn done. I mean, this move done around this turn. Adam Baltutis leads by half a second over Andres Garcia out front, and 2 seconds back is Matthew Cesario, followed by Christopher Perez, who's done really well, followed by Michael Bond, who has lost a little bit of time on him. As Perez sees a podium position just up the road from him. He might even get it into turn 1 here. He's already moved up 5 positions. He could make it 6 by the end of the straight. It looks likely, as long as he doesn't outbrake himself. He cuts over to the apex early to make sure he covers off any line and takes tons of curb, and it's just going to dominate the racetrack down to turn 2 and going to get that move done. Here's Troy Banks right on the heels of Craig Tessiter. And then that's Paul Ochoa, who's not having a great race. He's lost 7, but Bjorn Benches just in front of him has gained 7 positions. Oh, and coming into this tough little section here, John Miller is giving no quarter, trading a lot of paint. Although it looks like Andres Garcia has a little bit more to trade today. Paul Simmons Ochoa still pushing for this move. As Craig Ream is still behind Bjorn Benches. He's behind this whole thing right here. I don't know how he cannot make that move happen and have it stick. Adam Baltutis has pulled out a bit of a gap now. He's got 4 seconds on Christopher Perez. Well done. Up 7 positions. Incredible. Don't quite know what had happened up there, but credit to you. Adam Baltutis is looks like 4.5 seconds into the lead. John Miller getting that move done. He's up 10 already. He finds himself in 5th. All up and down this course. Mark Bray having to lead off perhaps a little bit more time than he'd like to. He's got Aji in front of him. Oh, and Paul really puts it into turn 1. Bjorn's going to be under pressure from Craig, but he's going to have to let that go. Just going to put him into all sorts of pressure and distract him into this little braking zone to the left. Craig takes to the inside and gets great grip. And it looks like Craig is going to take that position ahead for the time being. That is Matthew Cesario holding off Michael Bond for the moment. But that is just going to let John Miller into this race. And he would be putting Matthew under some pressure anyways. As you can see, John just coming into the screen there. Very new school track. Great elevation change right here into turn 1. You can brake so late into it and just have gravity catch you. Paul still not able to do anything about Joseph in front of him, but he might get to the inside of this turn here and give him something to think about, making it very difficult on Joseph to get any purchase. And then there's Craig Tessiter falling into their grasp just ahead. Craig Ream still getting stuck up in this race. As they go into this section, he's going to stay ahead. And there's Craig Ream getting to the side of Paul Simmons-Ochoa. He's going to get the inside of this next left-hander. And he's going to get back onto the racing line. Kent gets that move done into that left-hander. It's great racing all over the track. Really great to see everybody's got somebody to duel at the moment. Coming down to the final turn, this is the battle for the final podium position. Matthew Cesario able to hold these guys off for another lap when they come down to turn 1. Michael Bond, he just outbreaks himself totally and frees up John Miller to go forward. Now he's got to deal with Andres Garcia behind him. Greg Ream retaining that position, still working on Joseph Mayer, who has disappeared for a moment. And there he is again. And that's Mark Bray going around the outside of that turn, being very brave and getting it done. And Paul Ochoa has gotten that move back. And they're just swapping positions all over in this little pack. There's John Miller trying to get this done. You can get a big switch back here in this double apex, but he doesn't go for it there. Stays right in line. And we see Craig Ream has crashed in the background. Where's the crash? He takes out Paul for good measure. And he's a nice gent. He waits for Paul. Still nothing really between this little pack here. Matthew able to retain this final podium position for the time being. And Christopher Perez is just up the road, has seen these whole pack of angry sharks in his mirror for about for about 5 laps. It's only a second and a half, and he's had more than a couple issues getting a little wild on turn 1 there. As the weight of the car readjusts. That's Michael Bond trying to put John under a little bit of pressure, but I don't think John's going to feel that. He's just going to drive his race. John Miller now having to do a little bit more defense than he would like to. He's going to lose a ton of time taking to the inside and getting off the racing line around a very, very large carousel. And now under a second, up to second place, Christopher Perez. Kent Kruger and Bjorn Benches battle for the worst admin to show up, I guess. As Bjorn wants me to eat my words there. It almost takes the both of them out. cuts back across the line. So I think he puts a wheel into the grass or the AstroTurf, able to hold on to it. See what Kent's trying to do into turn 1 here. He throws it in there. Why not? Leaves Bjorn for dead back there. Wow, he's already got a half a second just in that turn making that move. Bjorn did not go for any sort of switchback. It looks like Matthew Cesario has had an issue. Oh, sorry about that. Everybody's having a little touch in there. It looks like Matthew just didn't get an awesome. Oh goodness, everything's gone terrible. Matthew Cesario takes the inside on Andres Garcia there, and around the carousel they come. Oh, and he's never gonna have it that way. That's not the way to do it. Unfortunate for James Michael getting James Bond getting clocked in the in the middle of that turn, just completely blindsided by Matthew. You could understand he wanted to get those moves done, and Michael almost returning the favor on unwitting Troy Banks there. And then we still have Craig Ream, who's having a miserable race. There's Troy Banks staying ahead for the moment. Oh, Michael, he's actually been sliding that thing out of there pretty routinely. Your race leader's out of Baltimore, by the way. Sorry, I don't have the ticker going today. Thought that might have been one of the reasons that you didn't like me the other day, so I just went back to the timing tower. Sorry if it seems a little cluttered today. I also find it a little bit easy with the timing towers. You can see Adams got that 7-second lead over this battle for second place. John Miller, who did not qualify, is already up 12 places. Poor James Bunter. It's like he just couldn't get that gear shift done or something, and just revved himself out. Maybe he went down a gear or something. I don't know, but he definitely lost his engine. Oh, as Christopher Perez goes a little wide, misses that braking zone. I was about to say, I'm always saying you can brake as late as you want there. Gravity will catch you. Not this time, as John Miller gets second place away. And we're not quite to 20 minutes, and I'll be surprised if he's able to chip away at about 2 to 7.5 second lead. And go challenge him up there. That'll be quite surprising, quite impressive if he's able to do it. As you can see him in the distance at the end of that little straight. These three still as they were. See Matthew Cesario staying a little bit. Definitely 2 spots ahead of the guy who he had, as we saw Craig Ream give that place back to, I forget who he had hit. Matthew getting a little loose, opening himself up to Troy slightly. Oh, and Michael really sending it deep and getting a great jump out of that turn, though. He's going to at least get Troy Banks done here. Maybe it was just the lack of a decent exit from Troy, perhaps, allowed him to get that one done. He takes the inside and really leaves Troy hanging, which is all he can do. He's very squarely with the back end of his car. Manages to keep hold of it for 6th place. There's John Miller. He's pulled out just over a 2nd gap on Christopher Perez behind him. Still hovering about 7.5. Oh, and there's Matthew Cesario. He gets passed by Michael Bond there. As you see, Troy Banks also going wide down the back straight, I guess you could hardly call it. Michael with some great grip into those braking zones, making it happen. We're just hogging the apex, slowing everybody down. So it's the way to do it. There's so many of these tight apexes on this course. Here's Kent Kruger hunting down Joseph Mayer ahead of him. And 2.6 behind Mark Bray is Federico Del Toro here, 14th. Oh, and there's James Bunter after he is back out on track. Oh, that was a quick 20-minute gearbox change. Of course, he had to get the tow for it as well because he broke down right here on the pit straight and missed the pit entrance. Not that his car was going to drive into there. And here we have Matthew Cesario. And we have a little space to Troy Banks here, as they actually go side by side through that turn. I can't believe it. Troy Banks might have the inside line down to these turns down here. If he can hold on to it, he does. And he's going to get that position done. Great driving from both drivers there, being very courteous, but ultimately the double or the extra left-hander there is going to give Troy Banks that position. Just ahead there's Andres Garcia and Michael Bond. Ooh, it's real sketchy. Andres has got to get the cutback on him here instead of trying to battle him side by side. But he decides to do it, and he actually does get a better launch off of the final turn because Michael just has to take it that much slower. I'm surprised he was able to stay with him there after the turn-in phase of the corner. Oh, and that's I thought Michael Bond is going to lose that rear end a few times, followed by Matthew Cesario. Craig Ream and Troy Banks is now in the back of the pack. He lost 2 there. And there's James Buntner getting the move done. Joseph Mayer stays just ahead of Kent Kruger for the time being. These guys come into this really tricky, squiggly section with the drop. Oh, everybody's starting to feel those tires now as we're 23 minutes into the race. Going to be a little bit of management from here on out. John Miller not really able to leave Christopher Perez in the dust. Craig Ream getting ahead of Matthew Cesario. Oh, I was about to say, except for this really tight inside, and then comes this carousel. Troy Banks is going to follow him in right behind and use that pick and take that position back yet again for Matthew Cesario. We'll see what happens before the end of the lap. These guys are playing hot potato with 6th place. But that gap to Adam Baltudis is cut down to 3.5 seconds now. So John Miller is getting within spitting distance. He can see 1st place ahead of him after not qualifying and doing the back to front challenge today. There's Christopher Perez, who he's still having to defend off. Greg Ream doing well, found himself a nice little pocket between these battles going on. Troy Banks still has the better of Matthew Cesario coming into this lap. And Joseph Mayer has found himself a little gap. And that's Mark Bray just having to give up that one there. And, Andres Garcia tries to throw it in there. He's going to lose 2. He's going to lose 3 as a result. As you see Troy Banks also getting by there. And then Michael Bond and Craig Ream go side to side. We'll see what happens as they come down to the double left-hander here. Craig goes real skinny. Oh, and Michael goes way out. But he's going to get the cutback. We can get back to the left here. But they're coming up to the carousel, and that's a big right-hander that will favor Craig. Oh, just awesome racing. This is why I love the Miatas. This is why we should do nothing but the MX-5s. Huge fan. So hard to put in a good lap, no matter how good you are, what your setup is like. I feel like the setups don't matter quite as much because there's not 1,000 things to change on them like the complicated GT and LMP2 cars. And it's like the most popular race car in the world too, you know. And that's what I love about it. Oh, as Troy Banks has a look there on Michael Bond, gives him a little tap out of turn 1. That's like the ultimate homologation car. Like more cars have been like retrofitted from like a passenger vehicle into a race car than, you know, like cars, like purpose built factory race team cars. Oh, as James Bond takes a lot of that. James Bond, jeez, I'm gonna say that so many times. I bet people say that in your life a lot. Sorry, Michael. But you did get a lot of that big yellow sausage curve there, and somehow after squirreling into that, you almost get a look in on Craig Ream for that hairpin. I know it's not a hairpin, but it sure feels like it. That's a hairpin. That one, guys, have been throwing it into it. Bashing each other up as Craig Ream sticks to that inside. Michael gets this ultimate cutback here. It's a great move to do, but I think it's a Tilka track. It just doesn't favor it, you know, because that cutback just goes the other way after that. Up and did he have is he just qualified? Is that what just happened? Oh, because that would be so lame. He's not on the track anymore. Oh man, he is out. OUT with 12 to go on the clock. Lap 16 here we're starting. Your battle for the lead is down to 2.7 seconds. John's going to go for it this evening. He's got plenty of time and enough speed to make it happen. Christopher Perez lingers about a second back. Further back, though, these guys have been squabbling for all their lives. And Craig Ream, credit to you to get back up to 4th place. Only 3 positions lost, I suppose. I know it's not first, but well done to get yourself back up there after getting turned around and then stuck in a lot of traffic. Andres Garcia moves up 1 position from 6th on the grid. He's having a good race, as is Troy Banks, who's one of my drivers of the season. There is James Bunter staying just he just passed Mark Bray a moment ago. And really, as you can see on the timing boards, the guys have spread out a little bit slightly with about a second separating all of the drivers except for these two who are being way too ambitious on turn 1. But here's this little midfield pack. Got Craig Ream, Andres Garcia, Troy Banks, Matthew Cesario. And Ken Kruger's found his way back up to 8th on the grid at least. Joseph Mayer has crawled up to 9th. Well done. Bjorn Benches down in 10th for the time being, but he has managed to pull up a number of positions. I think he's up 7 so far. We have Craig Tessiter, followed by James Bunter, who's moving his way back up the grid after a very early engine blow. He's actually doing quite well to be in 12th. And there's Adam Baltudis. He's just under 2 seconds up the road now. It's just about as close as everybody else in the race. So this could be John Miller's moment if he just focuses and gets the last 8.5 minutes of this race right. Last lap is only 0.3 slower than his best lap, so he's putting in some excellent laps out there. You can just see right there that Adam Baltudis' last lap was half a second slower than John's. So I wonder if this setup is going away from Adam here. And that's just going to fall right into John's hands. And James gets another one done there on the inside of the pit straight. And now with Michael out of the way, Troy can start to hunt down Andres Garcia ahead of him, who has fallen back a little bit into his clutches. The battle for the lead is now starting to heat up a little bit. Just 1.4 between them. John gets a little hasty on that apex. You can smell the exhaust. Yeah, sometimes I like to just run my generator in my race room just so I get that full immersion. There is Matthew Cesario still on the tail of Troy Banks. Such a fun infield section to watch from this camera view here. Well, as John Miller is falling back slightly, might have overcooked a turn back there. And lost himself about half a second at least. As Troy Banks is starting. Oh, he just lost a place there from Matthew. See, it was on the back straight as expected. As they get caught up in a lapped Caravaggio as well. Alright, we're into the final 5. Still waiting for John to make this happen up top. He must have had some mistake back there. It's been pretty rare. He's just got to keep his head down. He's now pulled off 3.5 seconds ahead of Christopher Perez. He's been putting in some excellent times. We see the last one of a 51.2 is a second slower than his previous lap. Adam is able to do a 50.7, which is pretty on par with what he's been doing. John just getting a little anxious, seeing the win right there in front of him. Ken Kruger's caught up to this little pack after Troy. I think Troy had gotten a little confused as to what that blue car was doing in front of him and didn't realize he was a lap down. Ken Kruger going side to side with him. He's getting that move done and coming back to the racing line before that turn. So I suspect we're going to have 3 more race laps. What is that? Should we have 3 more race laps? Maybe 2 more race laps, actually. We're on to the pit straight. John's got it back down to 1.5 seconds. He's got to really hustle, though, if he wants to get that done. Kent has pulled off a second above Troy Banks already. He's made his way up to 6th. He's got Matthew Cesario in his sights now as they come down the pit straight. And those thousandths of a second just keep ticking off as you stay in that slipstream. It's going to be mega when you come up to the hill as well. He's going to try to get the cutback on Matthew here. But it's not as effective as I was saying, that the following turn is the opposite direction. And up top, it is really going on now as Adam must have had an issue somewhere and completely misses the apex of that too. For good measure, it's down to 4/10 now. Adam decided to get some screen time after cruising this race with upwards of an 8-second gap over second place. John Miller failed to qualify at all. Started at the back of the pack, of course, and has climbed his way up to the heights of Apex This Racing. As they come around to finish their second and last lap and start our final lap here. This is going to be it, the battle for the lead. As they come across the finish line, Adam Baltutis starts the final lap in the lead by a matter of inches, but just a few inches across the line, John takes the lead into turn one, and he's got that done already. Gets back over to the racing line. Adam Baltutis is going to push him every single way he can into a defensive mistake on some angry tires, doing everything but bumping that back bumper. And that's what it's called. That's what it's there for, right? For the bumps. Oh, and he's just right on his tail, and that might have been his best and final location to make a move on him. There's lots of great defensive moves to be made throughout the rest of this infield. As they come down to the double left-hander, I think John's going to have this one solidly planted. Oh! Around the carousel for the final time. John holds on to it, still on the racing line. Takes our final two lefts of the race. But John is going to hold on for the win. Congratulations, Mr. Miller, our winner this evening. Adam Baltutis had a great race and really held it together the whole time, but he's just going to have to take that second place. He did really well, though. Christopher Perez comes in third place, up 6 positions this race to take that final podium position. Well done, Chris. Craig Ream is going to come in fourth. Not too disappointing considering how tough it was for him this race. Craig Kruger moves himself up 2 to come in 5th. Matthew Cesario manages to finish 6th. Troy Banks does well to finish 7th. Bjorn Benches with an amazing 9 positions up to finish 8th. James Bunter finishing in the top 10, surprisingly, considering he blew the engine on the first lap. That's pretty great. Craig Tester comes in behind him. Mark Bray finishes in 11th. Paul Ochoa comes in 12th. Ajay Kadambi finishes 13th. Joseph Mayer in 14th. Andres Garcia finished 15th. Michael Bond was in 16th there, although I think he got DQ'd out of the race. Then we have Federico Del Toro, and James Dean came in 18th. Geez, I was trying to get the leaderboard up, but it doesn't seem to like me. No worries. We see some guys having some fun in the background there. As I was saying, we got John Miller, followed by Adam Baltutis and Christopher Perez, your top 3. And we have Craig Ream, Kent Kruger, Matthew Cesario, Troy Banks, Bjorn Benches, James Bunter, Craig Tessiter, Mark Bray, Paul Simmons Ochoa, Ajay Kandambi, Joseph Mayer, Andres Garcia, Michael Bond, Federico Toro, and James Dean. Thanks everybody for joining us here on Sundays for Backseat Broadcasting. We are running the Camel GTs on Wednesday, although we may not be broadcasting those anymore because the participation has been low, but we will definitely be back on Thursdays for the LMP2 and the GTE class. As always, please always hit that subscribe button. Don't even think about subscribing. Make sure you hit the bell an even number of times. We'll see you all Thursday.